Today, we explore how this date completely reshaped our world across five powerful dimensions: culture, education, finance, politics, and technology. This day proves that history never rests. Let's dive into the fascinating interconnected events of this date that continue to influence how we live, think, and innovate today. So, without much further ado, let's go.
You ever look at history and just wonder if the universe has a favorite day of the year? Because looking through the stack of research for today, this one specific date keeps popping up over and over again, which is June 26th. And honestly, I'm a little skeptical. Like, is there some mystical gravity to this day, or is it just a statistical coincidence?
I mean, it's definitely just probability at work, right? But what's fascinating is using this one random calendar square as a sort of lens. Because when you pull the thread on June 26th, you end up unraveling some of the most massive structural shifts in modern history.
Okay, yeah, let's use it as a lens then. So our mission for this deep dive is unpacking the profound historical, cultural, and financial milestones that all just happen to share this exact anniversary. So where does this actually start?
Well, it really starts with rewriting the global order. So on June 26, 1945, you had 50 nations gathering in San Francisco to sign the United Nations Charter. And the underlying mechanism here wasn't just about, preventing future wars.
Right, it was establishing a baseline framework for fundamental human rights, right, on a global scale.
Exactly, yeah. But it's tricky because you run into
It's
these.
kind of like trying to establish a global homeowners association.
Hmm.
Draft these incredibly ambitious collective rules, but immediately you hit a wall, which is individual sovereignty. Because at the end of the day, nations still really want to govern their own backyards.
It's a perfect analogy. That tension between global oversight and self-determination is constant.
Yeah.
And you see that push for sovereignty play out on the very same day, just 15 years later, because on June 26, 1960, Madagascar officially achieved independence from France.
Reclaiming the eighth continent, yeah. And that gave them massive leverage, right? They aren't just taking back their political borders, they're reclaiming this exclusive ecological heritage and intense economic power. Like the sources point out, they produce over 80% of the world's vanilla.
Yeah, 80%. So they took absolute ownership of their resources and their identity. But that concept of sovereignty, it doesn't just stop at national borders. The logical next step is how individual liberties expand within a nation itself.
Which brings us to the domestic front. June 26, 2015, the Supreme Court hands down Obergefell v. Hodges, legalizing same-sex marriage nationwide. But I want to pause here because the legal mechanics are pretty complex.
They are. It hinged on a 5-4 interpretation of the 14th Amendment, specifically the due process and equal protection clauses. So the majority basically argued that the right to marry is a fundamental liberty inherent to individual autonomy.
Meaning a state cannot deny that right to same-sex couples without violating equal protection under the law. But looking at the sources, that 5-4 split was incredibly fierce.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the dissenting arguments weren't necessarily debating the marriage itself, but rather the mechanism of power. The main concern was that the court was effectively bypassing the democratic legislative process, taking the decision out of the hands of state voters.
Precisely. It's this profound debate about who actually has the authority to mandate societal shifts. And interestingly, June 26th is also deeply tied to how authorities protect society. It's the UN's International Day Against Drug Abuse.
Oh, right, honoring Lin Zexu. He was the Chinese official who systematically dismantled the illicit opium trade on this day back in 1839.
Yeah, taking a sledgehammer to an illicit market.
A market that today the UN estimates is like a $500 billion shadow economy.
Which actually brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. If Lin Zexu was tearing down a shadow economy, June 26th is also the day we completely restructured the legal everyday economy. So let's go to June 26, 1934, when FDR signs the Federal Credit Union Act.
Okay, I know credit unions are literally everywhere now, but how does this actually change the economic structure? Like, aren't they basically just smaller banks?
Not structurally, no. I mean, a traditional bank is for profit, right? It extracts wealth to pay external shareholders. But the 1934 Act created a system of tax-exempt, nonprofit financial cooperatives.
Oh, so you aren't just a customer, you're actually a member owner. It's kind of like crowdsourcing banking.
Exactly. The mechanism essentially shifts capital away from Wall Street and returns those profits directly to the local community through, lower loan rates and things like that.
So it's essentially democratizing finance.
Mhm.
But how does that macro shift connect to how we actually spend that money at the store?
Well, look at June 26, 1974. A cashier in Ohio scans a pack of Wrigley's Juicy Fruit Gum. It was the very first commercial UPC barcode scan.
Wait, I get that barcodes are convenient, but did they really restructure commerce?
Fundamentally, yeah. I mean, before the barcode, retail required manual price tagging and physical inventory counts. It was slow, it was error-prone, and incredibly geographically limiting.
Right.
The barcode created real-time digital inventory tracking. It's the invisible digital mechanism that makes modern just-in-time supply chains, big box retail, and e-commerce logistics mathematically possible. Without it, global retail just collapses under its own weight.
Wow. So let's just step back. Through the lens of this one random day, June 26th, we've seen the foundation of modern global diplomacy, the expansion of individual civil rights, the democratization of local banking, and the digital infrastructure of global retail.
It just shows how interconnected these massive leaps in human progress really are.
Which leaves you with a thought to mull over today. If a single date can quietly host so many structural transformations across different centuries, what invisible world-shifting milestones might be happening on today's date that we simply can't recognize yet? Keep an eye on your calendar.
Hi viewers, family and friends. How did you like the content of this video? Like the video and subscribe to the channel. Please write in the comments your name and the place you are watching from. Since our viewing family is spread all over the world, it will be nice to know which city and the country you are watching from, so I can say hello to you. Science and technology. Reading and listening to the historical accomplishments on this date of those who have gone before us, I, as a professional engineer with interest in structural engineering, energy-efficient buildings, ICF construction, and as Google Docs expert with interest in spreadsheet-based solutions, draw inspiration to ask of myself the million-dollar question. What would I accomplish today? Think about the Japanese practice of Kaizen. Let me know in the comments, what would you accomplish today? Your subscribing to the channel inspires me to post more such videos. Thanks for your patronage. See you in the next video. Sincerely, Yogi Anand.